There is a kind of hurt that is difficult to admit out loud. It is not always loud enough to call heartbreak. It is not always sharp enough to make you cry. Sometimes it is quieter than that. It is sitting in your chair in the late afternoon, hearing the house settle around you, and realizing no one has called today. It is checking your phone, even though you already know there are no new messages. It is seeing a family photo online and realizing everyone got together and somehow you heard about it afterward. It is finishing a doctor's appointment, or getting through a hard morning, or having a small piece of news to share, and not knowing who would really want to hear it. It is your birthday, feeling smaller than it used to. A holiday feeling longer. A Sunday afternoon stretching out in front of you with too much silence in it. And maybe the sentence that forms inside you is one you would never want to say to anyone. I think they have forgotten me. If you have been feeling that way, this message is for you. Not because I think you are weak, not because I think you need pity, and not because I want to tell you to just stay positive. This message is for you because that feeling, the feeling of being forgotten, can sit very deep in a person. Especially when you have spent so much of your life remembering everyone else. You remembered birthdays. You remembered appointments. You remembered who liked what food, who needed a ride, who was having a hard week, who needed encouragement, who needed a little extra patience. You remembered the small things, the kind of things that make people feel loved. And now, some days, you may wonder if anyone remembers those things about you. Not the big things, not the facts. People may know where you live. They may know your birthday is somewhere on the calendar. They may know you are doing okay. But do they remember your favorite pie? Do they remember that you do not like to eat dinner too late? Do they remember that evenings are harder for you than mornings? Do they remember the stories you have told more than once because they still mean something to you? Do they remember that you are not just older now? You are still a person with a heart that notices. Feeling forgotten is not always about being completely alone. Sometimes you have family. Sometimes you have children who love you. Sometimes you have neighbors, church friends, old coworkers, people who would say, "Of course we care about you." And maybe they do care. That is what makes it complicated. Because sometimes the pain is not that no one loves you. Sometimes the pain is that no one seems to think of you. Unless there's a reason. Unless there is a holiday. Unless there is a problem. Unless someone needs information. Unless someone suddenly remembers. They should check in. And you do not want to become another obligation on someone's list. You do not want to guilt anyone into calling. You do not want to say, "But why don't you visit more?" You do not want to sound needy. So you say what many people say, "I'm fine." Even when the truth is closer to, "I miss being thought of. I miss being included in the little things. I miss feeling like my presence matters." Before something goes wrong. That is a tender thing to miss. And if you miss it, there is nothing shameful about that. You were not made to be remembered only in emergencies. You were not made to be contacted only when someone needs a number, a date, a recipe, or a favor. You were not made to be loved only in theory. A human heart needs signs. Small signs. A voice on the phone. A message that says, "This made me think of you." A chair saved at the table. A question asked with enough time to hear the answer. A hand on the shoulder. A visit that doesn't feel rushed. A simple understanding. I wanted to see how you were today. Those things may look small from the outside, but when you have gone without them for a long time, they can feel like water. And when they do not come, the mind can begin telling painful stories. They don't need me anymore. I am not important now. They have their own lives. I am fading into the background. I guess this is just how it is. If your mind has been telling you those stories, pause for a moment. Take a breath, and please hear this gently. Feeling forgotten is not the same as being worthless. Being contacted less often is not proof that you matter less. A quiet phone is not a verdict on your life. It is painful. Yes, it can be deeply painful, but it is not the full truth of who you are. Sometimes people get busy in a way that makes them careless with tenderness. Sometimes adult children are carrying jobs, bills, marriages, children, stress, and worries they do not talk about. Sometimes friends are fighting their own private battles. Sometimes people assume you are stronger than you feel. Sometimes they think, I should call. And then the day gets away from them. None of that makes the silence easy. And it does not mean you should pretend it does not hurt, but it may help you hold the pain without turning it into a final sentence about your value. Maybe the truest sentence is not, I have been forgotten. Maybe the truest sentence is, I have been missing the feeling of being remembered. That is different. The first sentence closes the door. The second one tells the truth, while leaving a little room for life to move. I have been missing the feeling of being remembered. There is dignity in that sentence. There is honesty in it. There's no blame in it. And sometimes that is where healing begins. Not by denying the ache, but by naming it more gently. Because you can work with an ache. You can care for an ache. You can give an ache a little light. But when you call yourself forgotten, completely forgotten, it can make you want to disappear even more. And you do not deserve to disappear. Not now. Not after all you have carried. Not after all the years you spent showing up for other people. So, what do you do with this feeling? Not as a project. Not as a list of things you must accomplish to prove you are aging well. Just as one human being trying to get through a quiet day with some tenderness. Maybe you begin by letting yourself admit the truth without judging it. You might say quietly, I feel forgotten today. Not, I am forgotten. I feel forgotten today. That small word matters. Feelings can be real without being the whole truth. A cloudy sky is real, but it is not the whole sky forever. So if today you feel forgotten, you do not have to argue with the feeling. You can sit beside it for a moment. You can say, yes, this hurts. Yes, I miss being called. Yes, I miss being part of the small things. Yes, I wish someone had thought of me today. That honesty will not make you weak. It may make you softer toward yourself. And softness is not weakness. Softness is what keeps the heart from turning to stone. Then, when you are ready, you might choose one small bridge. Not a big speech, not a painful confrontation, not a message that carries years of hurt all at once. Just one small bridge.
You might send a message like,
I saw something today that reminded me of you. It made me smile. Or, I was thinking of you this afternoon. No need to call back right away. I just wanted to say hello. Or, I hope your week is going okay. Sending you a little love today. That kind of message does not beg. It does not accuse. It does not say, you have failed me. It simply places a small light in the window. Maybe someone will see it. Maybe they will answer. Maybe they will not answer right away. And if they do not, I will not pretend that does not hurt. It does hurt. When you already feel forgotten, even a small silence can feel much larger than it is. But if you reach out with warmth, that act still counts. Even before the reply, you remembered your own need for connection. You allowed your heart to move towards someone. You did not let pride or fear make the whole decision for you. That is not small. That is brave in a very quiet way. And sometimes, when a relationship has grown distant, people need a gentle doorway back. Not everyone knows how to return. Sometimes they are ashamed they have waited so long. Sometimes they think you are angry. Sometimes they think you do not need much. Sometimes they do not realize how much their small effort would mean. A simple message can become an invitation, not a demand, an invitation. There may also be a time to ask more clearly, gently, with dignity. You might say, I would love to hear your voice sometime this week. Or, would you have 20 minutes for a call on Sunday? Or, I miss talking with you. Could we set a regular time once in a while? Or, I know life is busy. I do not need anything big. I would just love to feel a little more connected. That is not begging. That is communicating. There is a difference. Begging says, please prove I matter. Communicating says, this matters to me, and I am letting you know. You are allowed to let people know. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to want warmth, conversation, presence, and thoughtfulness. You are not a burden for wanting to be remembered. You are human, and sometimes The people who love you may need a clearer path toward you. Not because they do not care, but because they may not know what the silence has been doing to your heart. Still, I want to be honest. Not every person will respond the way you hope. Some people may stay distracted. Some relationships may remain limited. Some people may love you, but still not know how to show up well. That is a grief too. And it is okay to name it. But if one door stays closed, it does not mean every door is closed. Your need to be remembered does not have to be met by only one person. Sometimes, after a certain age, we have to let life surprise us with new sources of tenderness. A neighbor who notices when your porch light is on, a person at church who saves you a seat, a walking friend who asks, "Were you here yesterday?" A librarian who remembers the kind of books you like, a volunteer group where someone says, "We missed you last week," a grandchild who does not call often, but lights up when you send a story, a friend from long ago who has also been waiting for someone to reach out first. Being remembered can return in many forms. Not all at once. Not always from the people you expected. But it can return. And while you wait for others to remember you better, there is one quiet way to reclaim your own place in the world. Become someone who remembers. Not in a way that exhausts you. Not in a way where you give
and never receive.
but in small, healthy ways. Send the birthday card. Leave the kind voicemail. Ask the neighbor how their appointment went. Tell the young cashier, "I hope your day gets easier." Call the friend who may be sitting in a quiet house too. Share the memory no one else remembers anymore. Write down the family story. Say someone's name. Notice people. There's a special kind of dignity in becoming a person who still notices. Because the world can be careless, but you do not have to become careless with it. The world can forget small tenderness, but you can keep practicing it. And sometimes, when you send remembrance outward, it reminds you that your heart is still alive, still warm, still able to touch other lives. You are not only waiting to be remembered, you are still capable of remembering others into light. That matters. Still, tonight may be quiet. The phone may not ring. The house may have that familiar stillness. The chair across from you may stay empty. And if that happens, I hope you do not use the silence to punish yourself. I hope you do not say, "This proves it." I hope you do not let one quiet evening erase a whole lifetime of meaning. Instead, maybe you can place a hand over your heart and say, "I am still here. My life still matters. I am allowed to want connection. I am allowed to miss being remembered. And I am not invisible just because someone forgot to call. Because you are not invisible. You are the keeper of stories. No one else knows in quite the same way. You are the witness to years that shaped the people around you. You are the person who held things together, even when no one noticed. You are the one who remembered the meals, the names, the appointments, the worries, the prayers, The birthdays, the small preferences, the ordinary details. That made a family. A friendship, a workplace, or a home. Feel cared for. And even if people do not always say it, even if they do not remember as well as they should, the love you gave did not vanish. It lives in people. It lives in habits they do not even realize came from you. It lives in recipes, phrases, manners, traditions, photographs, stories, and quiet strengths. Some of what you gave is still moving through the world. Even on days when the phone is silent. Even on days when no one says thank you. Even on days when you feel like an afterthought. You are not an afterthought. To your own life. You are still here. And your heart is still worthy of being met. So, if you have been feeling forgotten, please take this message with you. You do not have to disappear just because others have become distracted. You do not have to turn hard or bitter to protect yourself. You do not have to pretend it does not hurt. And you do not have to wait passively for someone else to decide you matter. You can tell the truth gently. You can reach out once. You can ask clearly. You can let new people become part of your circle. You can remember others without abandoning yourself. You can keep one small light on in the window. Not for everyone. Not forever. But for the possibility, that connection can still find you. Maybe not today, in the way you hoped. Maybe not from the person you expected, but slowly, through one message, one visit, one familiar face, one honest conversation, one person who says, "I was thinking of you." And until that moment comes, please let this be one small reminder. You are not forgotten here. Not in this moment. Not while these words are being spoken to you. You are seen. Your ache is real. Your life still matters. Your name is still worth saying. Your stories are still worth hearing. Your presence is still worth making room for. And even if the world has been too quiet lately, quiet is not the same as gone. You are still here. And there is still time for warmth to find its way back to you. One small bridge at a time. If this message felt like it was meant for you, leave a simple "I'm here" in the comments. You do not have to explain your whole story. Just "I'm here" is enough.